And
It's a long time.
we, yeah, especially because we started dating when I was young. So, and when you start dating someone you're really young, and I also started dating him. This is actually kind of important to know, I think, for you at least. Someone analyzing my brain. We met months after my dad died, and so kind of in the wake of that, we started dating, and
How old were you
uh,
when you started dating?
18. We met on
Okay.
my 18th birthday.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I was 18 when we started dating, and yeah, uh, we a few months after my dad died, and he was very comforting. But I I don't know, two major things were lacked in the relationship.
Hmm.
One, I have vaginismus, and so our sex life was pretty not good. Wow, I'm really being open about this. Woo,
Can you
this is
explain to
scary.
us what vaginismus is?
Yeah, vaginismus is basically like, so it's it's a um so it's a mental thing. Like a lot of uh people who were sexually abused have vaginismus, and it's like basically it's kind of hard to explain. It's like a mental thing where basically vagina broke, it don't work.
Okay,
It's hard to fit things in there. It's kind of
let me
small.
try to give a different definition of it.
Sure, yeah, you should do that.
So
I'm
for
not very eloquent.
no, I think you're doing great. It's just vagina broke is I think you did a wonderful job of explaining what depersonalization is. I think you've explained a lot of things really well.
I mean,
So
vagina broke is kind of
there are
something
two
else.
issues that I have with your definition of vaginismus. First is vagina broke. And second is that you think it's a mental thing. So in my experience,
I do.
vaginismus is not purely a mental thing.
True.
So
And I mean, of
vaginismus,
course, there's like, yeah. Well, it's a physical thing too, but I think it's caused by mental stuff usually. But how my therapist and I have talked about it is like, I guess it is a physical thing too, because we talked about it like, when you're, sexually abused and it's like muscle tension there. I don't know. I'm having
Kate,
trouble
I'm
explaining
going
it.
to just
Yeah.
interrupt you and explain my
Yeah. Go
understanding of
ahead. You go ahead,
vaginismus, and
Dr.
then we
K.
can talk about how you and your therapist have talked about it. So
Sure, sure.
vaginismus is spasm of like the
Yeah.
muscles of especially the entrance of the vagina. So essentially what happens is your body has a lot of muscles and different kinds of openings. Like I know this word reminds me of Beavis and Butthead, but literally it has sphincters. And sphincter is like a circular muscle that contracts and relaxes. This is going to get so taken out of context, but it really
It's
is important to
fine.
understand.
Dr. K out of
No.
context
I'm
is
not
actually
worried
great.
about it being taken out of context for you. I'm worried about
No, I
the
know.
guys that are gonna
Dr. K out of
take.
context clips.
I
Those
know
are those are classic.
I'm giving him so much ammo. But seriously, I mean, this is important to understand because I think vaginismus is something that's like not like people don't. A lot of women will have vaginismus and they don't understand. They just think
Yeah.
that
Oh my
they
god.
think actually exactly like you think that my vagina is
Dude.
broken, but it's not that your vagina is
Yeah.
broken. It's just you have a
Yeah.
medical condition that needs some kind of treatment, and then you're able. Anyway, so what happens is essentially you have spasm of the I think mostly the outer muscles of the vagina, which make your essentially your vagina like clamp down, and then you can't really insert anything into it.
Mhm.
And when you do try to have sex, it's often very, very, very painful
Or
because
just doesn't work.
or
That
doesn't
too.
work because your
Yeah.
that muscle is like clamped down very hard, and so you just can't engage in any kind of sexual
Yep.
relations. And so so I really think about it as muscle spasm is really
Yeah.
what it is.
Uh-huh.
And Kate is spot on that a lot of times vaginismus I think has, if you look at like the population of people who have vaginismus, and now I'm kind of curious about like how common of a problem it is, and I think it's
I
important for
think it's
people to,
pretty common,
yeah.
actually.
Sometimes
Sexual abuse as a kid is really common too. It's crazy.
yes. So a risk factor for vaginismus is sexual trauma.
Mhm.
And this is where once again we kind of get to the fact that like a physical thing is not just purely a physical thing, nor is it purely a mental thing. It's like her body has trained or has been programmed to like have that muscle spasm in sort of a protective way or whatever. It may have a mental component to it in terms of as you get anxious, then your body is going to start to spasm more. You may have like an anxiety attack or something like that, like your heart rate increases, blood pressure increases. Mental stuff in your head has all kinds of physical effects on your body.
Yes.
And
yeah, that's what I meant by mental thing.
Yeah. So vaginismus is one kind of vulnerability that a particular body has to respond to a mental stressor. And we each of our bodies is like a little bit unique in the way that it responds to stress. So when we're mentally stressed, depending on the kind of stress that we feel, our body is going to do different kinds of things. Some people will get butterflies in their stomach. Some people will start to hyperventilate. Some people will have a panic attack. Some people will emotionally shut down or depersonalize. Some people will have vaginismus. Some people will, piss themselves. Like the body just does all kinds of crap that like we don't want it to do because that's just the way our body works based on mental stuff. And so it sounds like you have vaginismus.
Yeah.
And I forgot how we got onto that. So it sounds like you started dating your boyfriend when you were 18 after your issues. Okay.
My issues in my relationship was my vaginismus, so our sex life wasn't very existent.
Okay.
And also we didn't, I don't know how to word this. I'm really bad at accepting my emotions and processing my emotions already, and I think that he wasn't good at doing, he also wasn't good at that.
Sure.
And so I guess we didn't talk about our emotions at all, which was my fault because I wanted someone who was there for me emotionally, I think subconsciously, but I didn't admit that to myself. It was a lot of like feelings I had, but then just kind of pushing them away. Like,
what were the feelings that you had?
Like, I want to have sex, but like, whatever. Or, I want to have someone who's there for me emotionally, but whatever, just kind of pushing it away.
Was he not there? It sounds like he was very comforting after your dad passed away. Was he not there for you emotionally?
No, because the thing is, when my dad died, like I dealt with things in a humorous way. So I would just make jokes about it all the time. So then, and I'm also pretty, I don't know, I'm pretty good at dealing with emotional trauma. Had practice.
That's sad.
Sorry, I'm not laughing nervously. But yeah, we didn't really connect emotionally. Just not very good at helping me with my anxiety, which was the biggest thing. And I had a lot of anxiety.
What were you anxious about?
I had relationship anxiety a lot, which is like, what
does that mean?
Really annoying. I don't know. I guess just like I had relationship anxiety, like thinking maybe he wouldn't like me anymore, or, maybe he's going to lose feelings for me, or, whatever. I think in the beginning of the relationship, I latched so much onto, I want this to last forever. I want to marry this person, that anything that could threaten that scared the fuck out of me. And then, which is why, as it moved on, even though I know I should have ended the relationship like a while ago, I didn't, because I was depersonalizing, so I was like, whatever, problem doesn't exist. And two, I just wanted to make things work, because when I was fucking 18, I decided I'm going to marry this guy. So, yeah.
But why did you want to make things work?
Because I loved him, and I cared about the relationship, and I think, I don't know, I think because he was the person who was there for me after my dad died, like he kind of filled the void that my dad left, I guess, in a way,
Sure.
Someone who to spend time with, who was there for me, who took care of me, he would cook for me sometimes, and like he was very, very caring and very, like, yeah. So I guess it was.
Did you feel like you owed him?
Yeah, I guess I owed it to him to keep my promise, I guess.
What was your promise?
That I that we'd get married and that we'd never break up. This is so weird to talk about on the street.
What's weird to talk about?
I don't know. This is the most emotionally vulnerable I've ever been on stream. Like, this is shit I only really talk about with my therapist.
Do you want to stop?
No, it's whatever. It's good. It's good to talk about things.
I think, maybe I have a slight advantage over you because since I'm a boomer, sometimes I forget we're on stream.
I was forgetting too.